Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. While Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are trying to annihilate each other with sneers, and while a shooter in Dallas was killing white policemen and white policemen were killing blacks in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and St. Paul, Minnesota, there were other global dangers out there. Dangers that can kill far more people than the Dallas shooter, and far more people than the policemen shooting blacks for the mere fact that they are blacks in Baton Rouge and St. Paul. We got that reminder when North Korea launched a ballistic missile test Saturday morning while the Dallas shooter was still on the loose in a Texas parking garage. The North Korean missile is designed to carry a nuclear warhead. The North Koreans launched that missile from a submarine. The missile then traveled 248 miles before falling into the sea. And North Korea has pulled off 4 nuclear weapons tests to date. What is North Korea after? And what does this have to do with you and me? North Korea has declared that America is its greatest enemy. North Korea trains its kindergartners, its 5-year-olds, to refer to you and me as, quote, the American bastard. They use that phrase in North Korean kindergartens over and over and over again. North Korea gets its 5-year-olds to charge dummies of Americans using toy bayonets and to draw pictures of North Korean planes dropping bombs on American soldiers who are burning in seas of North Korean lit flames. North Korea has tested, as I said, 4 nuclear weapons, and it has a fleet of, get this, 70 submarines, including a new one called the Sinpo that's capable of launching ballistic missiles. So far, this fleet of submarines and these missiles don't pose a threat to you and me. But that's only a matter of time. The missiles are still under development. They haven't been perfected yet. And most of the submarines are rusty and decrepit. Yet these subs can successfully hide undetected in the shoals and waters right off the coast of South Korea, where we have a whole bunch of soldiers stationed. They can land special forces in South Korea to perform deep attacks into the south. And they can destroy South Korean ships, as this decrepit fleet of submarines did on March 26, 2010, when they sunk a South Korean naval ship, the Cheonan, and killed 46 South Korean sailors. But the goal of the Koreans is clear: to have submarines that can advance into the Pacific Ocean and can launch ballistic missiles against U.S. cities. Ballistic missiles equipped with nuclear warheads. What's more, a new enemy appeared in April 2016 on North Korea's target list for what it calls a, quote, nuclear storm. China, the one nation on earth that supports the North Korean dictatorship, is that enemy. And China is right next door. In other words, Chinese cities are an easy target for North Korean missiles. What was the Chinese sin? How did China get on the shit list, the hit list, the enemy list? China agreed with Barack Obama that North Koreans should give up development of nuclear weapons. In other words, North Korea wants to threaten not just the lives of Chinese, but your life and mine. More important, North Korea is not the only questionable nation with submarines and submarine-based missiles that can be equipped with nuclear warheads. Pakistan has 5 super stealth submarines that can carry 16 missiles, nuclear-tipped missiles each. Getting to the U.S. from Asia is a 5,100-mile trip. North Korea's subs can only travel 1,500 miles, but the Pakistani subs can go 11,000 miles, twice the distance it takes to get to the United States. And Pakistan has a fully developed arsenal of roughly 120 nuclear warheads. Why? And it has fully developed cruise missiles with a range of approximately 115 miles each. Why is this relevant to the United States? Because Pakistan is the land of jihad. Roughly 40% of Pakistan's citizens are modernist, tolerant, pluralists, people I enjoy tremendously, people you would enjoy too. But roughly 60% are what we call fundamentalist crazies, fundamentalist extremists. The extremists who rioted, for example, for the death of Salman Rushdie were rioting in the streets of Pakistan. The extremists who chanted in the streets for the death of the Swedish cartoonists were chanting in the streets of Pakistan. And these Pakistanis, the crazies in the streets, the extremists, were the people who cheered on an assassin. The assassin's target was the popular, modernist, powerful, pluralist governor of the Punjab, a person you and I would have enjoyed immensely. What was this governor's crime against the jihadists? A Christian farm worker named Asya Bibi had been accused of insulting the prophet and had been given a death sentence for this alleged crime. The governor of Punjab visited her in jail to show his support. He'd brought along his wife and his adult daughter. His daughter was the person who had brought the Asya Bibi injustice to the governor's attention. Then the governor threw a prison press conference with the offending Christian to demonstrate pluralism, tolerance, modernism, the things you and I respect. A few months later, Salman Taseer, the governor, was assassinated by one of his own guards who emptied an automatic assault rifle, all of its 27 bullets, into the governor's body just after the governor emerged from a late lunch at a fashionable restaurant. So much for pluralism in Pakistan. The killer immediately became a street hero. He was showered with flower petals whenever he was taken out of a police van and ushered into a jail or a court. He was showered with flower petals by the lawyers in the courts. And he was cheered whenever he was driven from his cell to a court appearance, cheered in the streets. If the fundamentalists who cheered this assassin ever take over the government of Pakistan, they will have control over Pakistan's long-range subs, and the jihadists will control the cruise missiles, the 16 cruise missiles each, that these subs carry, not to mention the nuclear warheads with which those missiles can be equipped. No problem, you might say. There is no way that Pakistan, bear with me, that Pakistan's extremists would ever attack us. Why? Because they would be deterred by a simple fact. We could retaliate against an attack by wiping Pakistan off the map, by turning it into a glossy parking lot. But that's a misunderstanding of the jihadists' beliefs. If Muslims in Pakistan are killed by a U.S. counterstrike, they go directly to paradise. They don't pass go. They get an instant express ticket to the hardest location to enter, not on earth, beyond the earth. And eternal life in paradise, according to the jihadists, is worth far more than this short, painful episode, our existence on this planet. So while the presidential campaign between Hillary and the Donald continues, and while we try to stop killing each other over race, and please, let's stop killing each other over race, we have to keep something in mind. We live in a dangerous environment. We live on a dangerous planet. We live in a world of social groups competing to be number one on planet Earth. Some of these competing social groups are nations like Russia, which is bristling with nuclear warheads. Some are alliances like NATO, which seems to be drifting toward toothlessness. And some are globalist movements, like Jihadist Islam, a movement that thinks the boundaries of nations are all artificial and that all of humanity must be one, but that it must be one under Islam, under Sharia, and under a caliph and a single prophet, Muhammad, and his example of holiness, which included massive amounts of slaughter. So as you try to understand our dangers here in the USA, including the danger of a presidential candidate or two who you really don't like. Remember, whoever leads us next will have to deal with a world where nuclear attack on America is becoming ever more plausible. Don't let domestic news shut out the fact that we live in a dangerous world, a world where to stay in place you have to run, and to get ahead you have to run even harder. This is Howard the Humongous speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make. Or, want to know why? Ask how. And now for the off button. I'm getting better at this.